Success transcends cities. As one of the world's most respected business leaders, I know what it takes. Join me now as I sit down with fellow leaders and we share our insights into how you can be successful. My name is Jeffrey Hayzlett, and this is All Business. Welcome to the show. From the backyard to the big box, today's guest knows a little about disruption. Jay Steinfeld bootstrapped blinds.com from an idea in his garage to an early e-commerce powerhouse, eventually selling the business to Home Depot in 2014. Jay tells the story of his rise in his new book, Lead from the Core, the 4 Principles for Profit and Prosperity. Jay, welcome to All Business with Jeffrey Hayzlett.
Jeffrey, thanks for having me.
Well, it's good to have you. You're known as the founder and CEO of blinds.com, but you built your business story with mufflers and transmissions. Can you explain that?
Well, mufflers, but not really even mufflers, franchises. I was the vice president of Meineke Discount Mufflers when there were originally 35 shops, built it to about 800 or 900. And we were in the franchising business. I learned about how to replicate systems at Meineke. And one of those lessons was I was able to take what I built even at blinds.com, a technology platform, and used it to move into other product categories. I was a CPA at the time. I went into accounting because I wanted to be into business, but I hated accounting. I never liked accounting. I always knew I wanted to be into business.
And what taught you in accounting that said, no way, I don't want to do that?
Well, you're counting other people's money. I want to make my own money. I don't like to just watch things. I want to participate. I want to be active. I want to build something. And in accounting, you're just watching other people build things. I really wanted to be a participant.
So how did you get from Meineke? All right, you're working in the franchise business, and then you come up with blinds.com. How did you get started, and how big was your first mover advantage in this marketplace?
Well, the 2 questions. I got into it because at Meineke, we wanted to, since we were so successful franchising muffler shops, we thought we would franchise other types of businesses. And we looked at the window covering business. The company was sold to GKN, Guest Keenan Edifolds. And then they said, no, we don't want to franchise. We sell mufflers. We want to just stay in the muffler business. So I got fired, and we all got fired. And we decided, that muffler was great, but now let's go into the window covering business. So we went into the window covering business after I was fired, and it worked out. We had a little mom and pop shop, my wife and I was the pop. And then that was 1987. In 1993, we'd heard about something called the information superhighway.
And the internet, right?
That's, yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't know what email is, no broadband, no Amazon, no Google. But went online in 1993, really just as an experiment, had no idea what the internet was going to be. I had no idea what I was going to be. It was just a marketing experiment to see if I could look progressive to my customers, that I had the latest technology. We didn't sell anything online. And then the next year, 1994, Amazon comes out and we say, you can sell stuff online? Huh, let's sell blinds. And everybody, of course, said to me, that is a ridiculous idea. People can't see it, they can't touch it, they've got to measure it themselves, they've got to install it themselves. And I said, what is the downside risk? So for $3,000, I set up a site to make buying blinds and shades a no-brainer. We called it No Brainer Blinds, the world's most popular and trusted online source for blinds, because we were the only ones.
Only source, right? The
exactly.
only source, so that makes you the category leader without question.
Right. As far as being a market leader, it was good for me because I knew nothing. But it was a way for me to experiment early when there wasn't a lot of money going into the business, and certainly not a lot of money going into the window covering business, because the addressable market was so small. Nobody thought there was a market. So that gave me an advantage. But there were a lot of people who came in after me that surpassed me, and I bought them. And we grew and we grew And we actually did become by far the world's most popular and trusted online source for blinds.com is by far #1 in the world.
It's
And
still,
especially
I'm
with
still,
Home Depot.
yeah, well, that was a big coup right there. Congratulations to be able
Thank
to see
you.
that. First of all, to make a transition is not an easy thing to do, to leave one to go into the other and even survive the business itself, then to make the transition to online, and then of course selling out to a big box store. All of those things don't normally go well for everybody. So you beat the odds all the way across. But I'm still
Yeah.
perplexed. How did you decide blinds? Was that your wife's idea? Was it really your idea? Window coverings? I mean, it's not something I would be sitting around going, yeah, window coverings. That's what we should do. What made you decide on that?
Well, let me get something very clear. I have no passion for blinds. I know blinds inside and out, but it wasn't like I decided blinds. I love blinds. I love window coverings.
Right.
I want to beautify the world. I want to provide privacy, security, insulation, all those things. It was because at Meineke, that was just happened to be one of the categories that we looked at for franchising. And
Okay.
we just decided we'll do it. My wife started it. And then after that, since I was fired and I needed something to do and I'd always wanted to be in business, I said, I'm a CPA. I'm perfectly suited to sell window coverings. And that's what we did.
Now, one of the things you were saying a few minutes ago, Jay, you mentioned that a lot of people say, oh, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. I mean, how many times did you hear that as you went through this progression of starting your own business and then into the .com and then into the big box before you left?
I heard it my whole life. I would say, I'm online selling blinds. And the first thing somebody would do is they'd look at me like, wait a minute, those things right there on the window, like blinds. And then as I would grow it, they'd say, wait a minute, do you have employees? Do you have an office? I didn't get any respect. Finally, when I sold the company to Home Depot, they started thinking, well, maybe he actually had a
Maybe
business.
he's got something. Maybe he's going to make this thing.
Seems like it might have worked out okay.
That's kind of like the actor that goes to New York and the family doesn't pay any attention, but all of a sudden he wins an Oscar or an Emmy or a Grammy, and then everybody's starting to pay her, or even maybe a Tony. Let me ask you a question because I thought was very unique. You also were a pioneer in digital content, marketing of sorts, creating your own do-it-yourself videos when YouTube barely existed.
Right.
How did you come about doing that? What made you think of doing that?
First, I don't think anything that I ever did was brilliant. It was just logic. If you want to show somebody how to install a blind, create a video. It's so much easier. There was nothing, it was just logic. So what I did is I hired somebody for, I think, $500. We created 3 12-second videos of me installing the blind in my bathroom. And the videographer was the voiceover and he edited it and we put it online. We said, look, you take it out of the box, put in the brackets, slip it into the bracket. It's a no-brainer blinds and shades. That was it. That was the whole video. You can see them at jaysteinfeld.com. I still found 2 of them. They're hilarious. I look at them. I've got hair, so they're pretty old.
So, and for those who are just listening, he might be a little hair challenged. So there we go with that. So since you grew this company from the ground up, how did you build a winning culture? How did you go about building the team?
Well, when I started, I had no idea what culture meant. Core values meant nothing to me. I thought they were just some squishy ideals that you put on a plaque, hang on the wall, and never think of again. But the year after I went full-time online, my wife, Naomi, had been married 25 years. She died of breast cancer. I had to be introspective and think about what makes me tick. And long story short, I came up with some thoughts as to what propels me, what is important to me, existential thoughts that people think of all the time. I felt like I needed to do it. How am I going to raise my kids? How do I be optimistic ever again? And came up with 4. Turned out only 1 of them was true. But over time, it was important to me to think about it. And the things that we believe, the 4 E's, about experimenting, evolving, expressing yourself, and enjoying the ride, all 4 of those are what I do. I wake up and that's what I do. And once I realized that, I embedded it into the culture, and everybody there knows that their job is just to get better and to become better than they ever believed possible. The purpose of blinds.com was to help people become better than they ever believed possible. That's what I did. That's what everybody did. And if everybody is getting better, and if everybody is helping everyone else get better, you have excellence that is just happening automatically. It's like autonomous excellence. And that made it easy to lead because everybody was improving, not just themselves, but the processes, the customer experiences, the service providers, all of our stakeholders, our investors. Our job was to help everybody get better, and the community, of course. So that's what we did. It was that culture that allowed us, this tiny little group of people with virtually no money, to do things that Home Depot and Amazon could never do. They never did. And that's why ultimately Home Depot bought us.